Hey, listen, I'm in earnest writing a business plan for our gym. So I'm wondering, you had given me a couple of websites as outlets for gym equipment.
The moment Janelle rolled down her car window and stared Kody straight in the eye, you could almost feel the air crackle. No cameras, no family meeting, just two exes in a parking lot and a stack of tax documents that could blow the lid off years of secrets. Kody tried to play it cool, waving papers and talking fast, but Janelle didn't budge. She didn't even put her car in park. She just asked one question that changed everything. Why was Robin's address on a tax notice tied to the whole family? That's when the truth started to slip out, and suddenly the old rules didn't matter anymore. Hi friends, I'm Sophie, and this is TLC's Sister Wives Recaps. If you're as hooked on the drama as I am, make sure you hit subscribe and drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know, do you think Janelle is right to demand every single receipt before she signs anything? Or is this just another round of Brown family chaos? Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the real power struggle. Janelle, the practical one, finally saying no. Kody, desperate to keep control. Robin, always in the background but never out of the spotlight. Christine, who saw it coming. And Mary, watching it all unfold. This isn't just about money. It's about trust, loyalty, and what happens when the truth can't be hidden anymore. For years, the Brown family sold the dream of unity. On Sister Wives, we watched Kody, Janelle, Christine, Mary, and later Robin pool their money, their hopes, and their futures into one big, complicated pot. The centerpiece of that dream was Kody Pass, a stretch of Arizona land that was supposed to be the place where every wife would build her own home, side by side, raising their kids together. Kody talked about legacy, about building something lasting, and the wives bought in. They all contributed, sometimes unevenly, but always with the promise that it was for the good of the family. The show made it look simple. One big family, one shared bank account, one vision. But behind the scenes, the money was always a little murky. Kody was the one moving funds around, making decisions, and asking the wives to trust him. There were LLCs, joint accounts, and endless paperwork. Every time a house was bought or sold, every time a new business idea popped up, the money flowed through Kody's hands. The wives had to sign off on things, but not always with full information. Sometimes, as we saw in those tense family meetings, they didn't even know what they were signing. Then the cracks started to show. Christine was the first to say she'd had enough. She walked away from the marriage, from the land, and from the financial mess. Janelle, always the practical one, tried to hold on, living in an RV on Kody Pass, still paying her share, still hoping the dream could work. But the trust was gone. Mary, after years of feeling sidelined, pulled back too. The family that once prided itself on togetherness was suddenly split, not just emotionally but financially. The shared accounts, the LLCs, the property, none of it was as simple as Kody made it sound. And as the wives started to step away, the question became, who was really left holding the bag? It all came to a head in a Flagstaff parking lot, far from the cameras and the staged family meetings. Kody called Janelle, asking her to meet up, saying it was just some quick paperwork for Kody Pass. She probably expected another routine signature, another favor for the sake of keeping things civil. But when she pulled up, Kody was already there, papers in hand, looking tense. He didn't waste time. He leaned in, started explaining fast, pushing a stack of tax documents through her open window. He wanted her signature right then and there to tie up some loose ends with the IRS. Janelle didn't even turn. Off her engine. She glanced at the top page, saw Robin's address, and immediately knew something was off. Instead of reaching for a pen, she asked the one question Kody didn't want to answer. Why was Robin's name and address on a document that was supposed to be about shared family property? Kody tried to talk over her, insisting it was just a formality, that it would all be over if she'd just sign. But Janelle wasn't having it. She told him she wouldn't sign anything until she saw every receipt, every ledger, every detail. No more blind trust. The fallout was instant. Kody, used to getting his way, was left standing on the curb, papers in hand, as Janelle drove off. For viewers, it was a jaw-dropping moment. For the family, it was a turning point. Janelle's refusal wasn't just about one tax form. It was about years of being asked to trust without proof, of being left in the dark while decisions were made behind closed doors. In that moment, Janelle drew a line. She wasn't just protecting herself, she was forcing the whole family to face the truth about how their money had really been handled. Janelle was always the steady one. On Sister Wives, she came across as the voice of reason, the one who balanced the checkbook, kept the peace, and tried to make the best of whatever chaos Kody brought home. She worked hard, raised her kids, and rarely complained, even when things got tough. For years, she played the team player, trusting that the family's shared finances were being handled fairly, that her sacrifices would pay off in the end. She was the wife who made do, who lived in an RV on Coyote Pass when no one else would, who kept paying her share even when the dream started to crumble. But as the family fractured, Janelle's faith in the system started to crack. She noticed things that didn't add up: tax forms with her name on them, expenses she never approved, and property fees that kept piling up. The more she looked, the more she realized how much she didn't know. She started digging through old bank statements, tax returns, and LLC documents looking for a nizzers. What she found was a mess of missing receipts, vague expenses, and transactions that seemed to benefit Robin's household more than anyone else's. It wasn't just about money, it was about trust, and Janelle felt that trust slipping away. The emotional toll was heavy. Janelle had always put the family first, even when it meant putting herself last. Now she was faced with the possibility that her loyalty had been taken for granted, maybe even exploited. Her kids saw it too. They watched their mom struggle, watched her live in a trailer while others enjoyed new furniture and home upgrades. The sense of betrayal ran deep, not just for Janelle, but for her children, who had grown up believing in the family's promise of fairness and unity. Janelle's decision to demand receipts wasn't just about protecting her finances. It was about reclaiming her voice, standing up for herself, and showing her kids that it's okay to ask questions when something feels wrong. She went from being the quiet supporter to the truth seeker, determined to get answers no matter how uncomfortable those answers might be. Kody's grip on the family's finances has always been a point of tension, even when everyone tried to pretend otherwise. From the earliest seasons, he positioned himself as the head of the household, the one who made the big decisions about money, property, and business ventures. He'd call family meetings, lay out his plans, and expect the wives to fall in line. Sometimes he'd talk about fairness and unity, but the reality was often more complicated. The wives had to trust him, even when they didn't have all the facts. There were moments on the show when you could see the discomfort. Christine asking questions about the budget, Mary looking uneasy about signing mortgage papers, Janelle quietly crunching numbers in the background. Robin's arrival only made things more complex. Aided. She came in with her own financial baggage, and Kody seemed determined to make her feel secure, no matter the cost. Viewers noticed the pattern. Robin's house was bigger, her kids got more attention, and somehow, her needs always seemed to take priority. When the family moved to Flagstaff, Robin ended up with the most expensive home, while Janelle was left in an RV and Christine struggled to find stability. The perception of favoritism wasn't just a fan theory, it played out in real time, with Kody defending Robin's choices and brushing off the concerns of the other wives. Christine's breaking point came when she realized her voice didn't matter. She'd invested in the family, both emotionally and financially, but when it came time to make decisions about Coyote Pass, she was sidelined. Her frustration was clear in those tense conversations with Kody, where he dismissed her concerns and tried to guilt her into staying. Mary, too, felt the sting of being left out. After the catfishing scandal and years of feeling like an outsider, she pulled back, both emotionally and financially. She stopped fighting for a seat at the table, choosing instead to protect what little independence she had left. Janelle didn't just ask for receipts, she went looking for them. She pulled out years of paperwork, the kind most people would have tossed long ago. Old tax forms, LLC filings, bank statements, and every expense report she could find. She started cross-referencing dates, names, and amounts, determined to see exactly where her money had gone. What she found was a trail that didn't match the story she'd been told. There were property payments made in her name for parcels she never lived on, and maintenance fees that kept showing up long after she'd moved out. Some expenses were labeled as family business, but the benefits seemed to land squarely in Robin's lap. On the show, we saw Janelle living in an RV, scraping by while still paying her share for Coyote Pass. Meanwhile, Robin's house was getting upgrades, new security systems, custom furniture, even a room for her doll collection. Christine and Mary noticed it too. Christine, who had already left, watched from a distance as the money she'd helped earn was funneled into projects she never agreed to. Mary, who had been burned before, kept her distance, but even she couldn't ignore the way the numbers didn't add up. Janelle's audit uncovered vague business expenses tied to Robin's online jewelry venture, all run through the same LLC that was supposed to be for the family. There were deductions for home office upgrades, but the only home that seemed to benefit was Robin's. Janelle found her name on tax filings for years she hadn't been involved, and when she tried to get answers, she was met with silence or excuses. The more she uncovered, the more isolated she felt. It wasn't just about the money. It was about realizing that her trust had been misplaced, that the family she'd worked so hard to support had left her exposed. The sense of betrayal grew with every document. Janelle had always believed in the family's vision, but now she saw how easily her loyalty had been used against her. The receipts didn't just tell a story of financial mismanagement, they revealed a pattern of decisions that put her at risk while others reaped the rewards. For Janelle, the audit was more than a financial reckoning. It was a wake-up call, and she wasn't about to let it go unanswered. Janelle realized she couldn't fight this battle alone. After months of unanswered questions and mounting frustration, she hired a lawyer who specialized in business breakups and financial disclosures. It was a move that sent shockwaves through the family. For the first time, Kody was forced to face the possibility that his way of handling things might actually have consequences. He tried to downplay it, telling anyone who would listen that Janelle was just bluffing, that she'd never go through with a fool's audit. But behind closed doors, he was scrambling, calling old friends, looking for quick fixes, and even reaching out to Mary for help, only to be turned down flat. Robin, usually so composed, started to show cracks. She worried about what a real audit might uncover, especially with so many expenses tied to her household. The idea of lawyers and judges sifting through years of family finances made her visibly anxious. She pushed Kody to settle things quietly, hoping to avoid a public spectacle that could damage not just their reputation, but their bank accounts as well. Christine, watching from the sidelines, couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. She'd been the first to walk away, the first to call out the unfairness, and now Janelle was following her lead. The two women, once united by shared struggle, now found themselves on the same side of a very public fight for accountability. The family's alliances shifted almost overnight. Old loyalties faded as the threat of legal exposure grew. The possibility of court dates, subpoenas, and public records loomed over everyone. For the first time, the Browns weren't just fighting for control. They were fighting to protect themselves from the fallout of secrets that had been buried for years. And with Janelle refusing to back down, it was clear that nothing would ever be the same. This isn't just a family squabble, it's a storm that could shake the entire Sister Wives universe. TLC has built years of ratings on the Browns story, but now the network faces real risk. If Janelle's audit exposes financial mismanagement or unfair treatment, it could force TLC to answer tough questions about what they knew and how they handled the family's contracts. The show's future hangs in the balance. Producers are watching closely, knowing that a legal battle could mean lost episodes, pulled reruns, or even lawsuits. But the impact goes beyond TV. Janelle's stand is sparking a bigger conversation about women's rights in plural marriages, especially when it comes to money and control. For years, viewers have watched the wives sacrifice, compromise, and trust the system Kody built. Now, with Janelle demanding transparency, she's challenging the old rules and setting a new example. Her fight isn't just about her own bank account, it's about fairness, dignity, and the right to know where your money goes. In a world where so many women are told to keep quiet and go along, Janelle's refusal to sign without answers is a moment that matters far beyond reality TV. Janelle's refusal to sign, her demand for receipts, and her willingness to bring in legal help mark a real turning point. Not just for her, but for the entire Brown family. For years, she played by the rules, trusted the process, and put the family first. Now she's drawing a line and showing everyone that it's okay to stand up for yourself, even when it means facing off against people you once called family. This isn't just about taxes or property, it's about finally demanding honesty, respect, and a fair shake. So what do you think? Is Janelle right to hold out for answers before signing anything? Do you think Kody and Robin will come clean? Or is this just the beginning of a much bigger fight? I want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe so you don't miss any updates as this story keeps unfolding. I'll be here every step of the way, breaking down the drama and bringing you the real story behind the headlines. Thanks for watching TLC's Sister Wives Recaps with me, Sophie. Stay tuned, because if there's one thing we know about this family, it's that the truth always finds a way out.